Your sex last 20 seconds, so like 2 minutes is a long time.
That's a long time.
Cause we way too high for you. Tripping like we got too much on. But they got love for us. Cause we staying all night long. Yo, when we walk in the club, you better believe we know what's up. Got these girls a little trance. Throwing bands and then the dance.
Hey guys, it's Connor here. I just wanted to pop in real quick, let you guys know that this episode was recorded during the Monday Night Football game between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. That being said, obviously we didn't know to what extent that Aaron Rodgers was injured, but we have gotten that confirmation today. Last night in the press conference, Jets head coach Robert Saleh did say that it was most likely something to do with his Achilles, and that he said that it did not look good. And this morning, it was officially confirmed that Aaron Rodgers has torn his Achilles tendon and will be out for the remainder of the season. Obviously, just terrible news, especially for a New York Jets team that obviously went all in with Aaron Rodgers and were hoping to be Super Bowl contenders. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. When you go get Aaron Rodgers, especially at this point in his career, I mean, you're trying to be a Super Bowl contender. So now Zach Wilson is obviously the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. And I don't know how lofty those dreams are, those playoff hopes are. I don't know where they're at anymore. I guess we will see in the coming weeks. But obviously, this is a massive hit to the Jets organization that, as I stated previously, went all in on Rodgers. As much as we joke about Rodgers, obviously, we hope the very best for his health. We hope he recovers. It just sucks. I mean, it was on the fourth play of the entire game, the fourth play of Aaron Rodgers as a New York Jet. And the hit, I remember I actually watched the play and then we recorded the podcast, but the hit didn't look super hard and it didn't look very awkward. But then there were videos that surfaced this morning that if you see kind of a close up, he takes one certain step when he's going down to the ground and his whole leg kind of shakes, his calf kind of shakes. And it's the exact same motion that Kevin Durant's leg made when he tore his Achilles, I believe, in the 2019 finals. And that's really all the evidence that you needed. I mean, I think a lot of people could have looked at that and you wouldn't have even needed an MRI scan to confirm that he tore his Achilles. So obviously, yeah, that's absolutely sucks for the Jets organization. And we will get Ryan and Robbie's thoughts, obviously, next week and later on and see what they think about this Jets team that now has Zach Wilson at the front. But as I said previously, as much as we joke about Rodgers, obviously, we hope the best for his health. And we would never wish this kind of injury upon anybody. So hopefully he recovers. And honestly, hopefully the Jets still have a good season without him. But just wanted to give you guys a quick update real quick because we did record this before any reports or confirmations came out. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Connor flexing on us that his team has a better winning percentage.
3-0, baby.
Saban Jordan face.
Sad boy hours.
It's really weird to know that Oklahoma State currently has a better record than Alabama.
You know who also? I'll save this fun fact.
Did I not just fucking say that?
Yeah, that's I know. I was just repeating.
I have a fun fact about another team who has a better record than Alabama for the first time in a very long time.
Oh no,
Auburn.
Nope.
Oh,
they won a national championship, won undefeated.
I didn't know what kind of long time you were thinking. Like your sex last 20 seconds, so like 2 minutes is a long time.
That's a long time. No, it's been since the 1980s that this team has had a better record than Alabama.
Are they in the same conference?
Yes.
Ole Miss.
Historically, the worst team in said conference.
Vanderbilt?
Because Vandy's 2-1.
Vandy is 2-1.
It's 0. So by winning percentage, Vanderbilt has a better record than Alabama for the first time since 1984.
That's crazy.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to another rendition of the Bros and the Berg podcast. We thank you for joining us, wherever you are watching, listening to us on this beautiful evening in mid-September. My name is Ryan Doyle. I'm joined by my most handsome co-host, Robbie Bergstone, and our executive producer, rocking the douche shades, is my younger brother, Connor Doyle.
Looks like someone's been in the stew for real, and he's been cooking some stuff up.
You know what I'm saying?
Murder on the beats type beat, if you will.
What the hell?
Got whatever. Yeah, we got a chock full episode. Obviously, you're gonna have a lot of football, baseball coming down to the wire, and so much more. Once again, thank you for joining us. And Connor, what are we getting started with tonight?
We got a lot on tap, Ryan. We got NFL, we got college football, we got MLB, we got basketball, we got some tennis we got to talk about at some point in the evening, of course. Some UFC. Yeah. I mean, we're all over the place. Thank you for joining us. As Ryan said, please like, share, and subscribe. Of course, we're at 111 subscribers. Like we said before, we will be bringing you something special for 100 subscribers. We are still in the works on that, but we will let you know. First thing we're going to do tonight is NFL related, but it's going to be blind rankings, and we're going to have these two participate in blind rankings once again.
Can the fellas go back to back? We had great weeks last week. We really showed up for the first time this season in blind rankings. Let's see if we can run it back.
But have I changed the strategy this time?
We'll find out, James.
Robbie, we're going to come to you first.
Yeah.
And it's going to be NFL wide receivers here. So I got 5 names for you. You're going to rank them 1 to 5 without knowing what comes next. First name here on this list, Kadarius Toney.
Can I rank him just off of last week?
No.
I mean, he looked bad last week, like really bad, like horribly bad. I'm going to try to not let that influence me. There's a lot of wide receivers I take over Kadarius Toney, but I feel like there's some that I put below him, so I'm going to put him at 4.
Okay.
Does Kadarius Toney actually have hands or appendages? Do they exist?
If you just watched the game last week, I'm not sure that I can be convinced that he does. No. And I'll tell you what, I was mad that I missed out on him on one of my fantasy drafts, and I watched last week, and I just figured out I'm a goddamn genius. So
that's a good point. Number 2, Tyreek Hill.
I kind of really drew this up after like the big booms in the busts of last week.
Yeah,
So.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna put Tyreek Hill at 1. I mean, he is a really, really talented receiver there, and like right now, the way he's playing with Tua, like he might. I mean, other than one other guy, but he's top 3 right now, and I feel pretty confident saying that.
Number 3, we have Cooper Kupp.
I don't know who else is coming. I'm going to put Kupp at 3 right now, just because we haven't seen him play much lately. He hasn't really been healthy. And Connor, what's the best thing you can have? That's availability, right? We want our guys to be out there playing. So
the best ability is availability.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 4, we got Amari Cooper.
That's tough. That's tough. Why do I feel like it's going to be like Justin Jefferson at the 5th?
Just the absolute, just crazy psychology going on right now.
You never know.
Let's put Coop at 2.
Oh, he's putting Amari Cooper at 2. Number 5 here on this list, we have Jamar Chase.
Yeah, there it is. That's a throw.
What a dick.
That's a throw. All right.
There's just no winning that.
I gotta go back to my scouts and
you gotta figure it out. I mean,
see what we did wrong.
That's an embarrassing performance, to be completely honest.
It's not great.
It's not great. Ryan, coming to you, we have NFL running backs. We're going to give you some running backs here. Number 1 on the list, we have Derrick Henry.
We're going to put Derrick Henry at 3.
Okay.
The whole every offense in that game this weekend struggled. I mean, it was just awful. It was not a fun game to watch in Titans Saints.
I mean, 16-15 is indicative of a Titans game if I've ever seen one. You know, that's a very Titans.
It was a mid off, honestly,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's kind of what we expected, though, right? Like, I don't think
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
exactly. So.
Number 2, we have Josh Jacobs.
I think Jacobs, you got to put at the 2.
I respect
Can't put him below Henry, but you got to put him at the 2.
You're blocking yourself out here if there's any good running backs coming down the list here.
Correct.
Number 3, you have Najee Harris.
4.
Yeah.
Number 4, you have CMC.
1.
And number 5, you have Joe Mixon.
I mean, that's fine. Honestly, fine.
It's not horrible. It's really not horrible.
Yeah. I'll take it.
I mean, you could interchange Mixon and Najee.
Yeah.
Like, Najee's kind of like been like pretty shit the last
Steelers
season in the game.
For a second, I thought he was going to go. I thought he was going to go all Alabama guys there for a second. But
oh yeah, actually, I would. Damn it!
Started off with 3.
Yeah, I should have done that.
You should have done that.
Damn it!
What a fumble!
All right,
we're going to redo the segment, run it back.
We're going to move on from blind rankings and get into some NFL. We're going to do some NFL headlines and then get into the week 1 and week 2 stuff. First and foremost, Joe Burrow has become the highest paid NFL player of all time. It feels like I'm saying that every week at this point, with a new contract of 5-year, $275 million. Unfortunately, not really living up to that after his week 1 performance. But I mean, this was expected.
Did he cook in Cleveland?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I base all of my NFL takes off of only week 1, and therefore this is the biggest overpay in the history of the NFL. I don't think he's washed. He's not a very good quarterback. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, deserved.
Yes.
But they got some things to figure out. They're a little rusty. That's all right. I think the Bengals will be fine.
I think people also discount how heavy it was raining. Like, that ball was slippery as hell. Like, I don't know anybody. Like, Jamar dropped a few passes. You never see Jamar drop passes. Like, that ball was slippery. So, yeah, moving on to another record-setting contract. Nick Bosa has signed a contract with an extension of 5 years, $170 million, becoming the highest-paid defensive player in history. This was also expected after his semi-holdout with the 49ers. And, yeah, he has become the highest-paid defensive player of all time. I'd say deservedly so.
That guy on Reddit lied to me. And it's something I will never forget. I was bamboozled, but that's okay. It does happen.
Now his record's gone to 1-1.
Yes, correct.
49ers insiders. That's tough.
That's still 50-50. That's not bad now.
Yeah, better than most of Ryan's fantasy teams. We'll move on to the
50 is almost more than Ryan's fantasy team scored this weekend. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Thanks.
Cooper Kupp has officially been placed on the IR and may be there for up to 4 games. This was semi-expected after Sean McVay came out and said that he re-aggravated his hamstring injury. But obviously, I mean, for the Rams and fantasy, I mean, it didn't stop the Rams in week 1. That was crazy. But yeah, obviously it sucks for him. Hopefully he gets healthy. I guess he just needs to rehab a little bit longer. But yeah, obviously it sucks for LA.
Honestly, if you're a Cooper Kupp owner and you didn't draft him in the first round, you're probably actually pretty happy about this. Because you give some time to like recoup. Like, playing on a burnout hamstring
is an unbelievable cope out of you.
I got him in the 3rd.
That's a steal.
That's what I'm saying.
In the 3rd.
No, but I mean, no, just for the Rams and Kupp as well. Like, I think sitting him out makes the most sense. A hamstring is one of those things that's so easy to just keep aggravating and never get to 100%. Like, give him those 4 weeks off, let him rehab it, and then see where he's at in 4 weeks. I think it makes sense. And like you said, Connor, I mean, we saw the Rams play this weekend. They might be okay for 4 weeks without Cooper Kupp. So,
yeah. So we are going to get into the week 1 stuff and basically review the week, and then we'll do some other stuff and then preview week 2. I'm going to go through some of the highlights here, and then Robbie and Ryan, you guys can just say anything. You can stop me at any point to discuss something. The first game of the season, the Detroit Lions ended up beating the Kansas City Chiefs by 1 point in Arrowhead. Obviously, Kansas City without Travis Kelce. The offenses, it wasn't great, to be completely honest. They were both rusty, and obviously Mahomes did not. I mean, Mahomes put some dots on the field, and without Kelce, like, just nobody could catch him. Like, I mean, obviously Kadarius Toney with a horrible performance with like 3 or 4 drops. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of a dumpster fire, but Detroit came out on top.
But I think the Lions offense did what they wanted to do. Like, they came out, they ran the ball well. A lot bit more get David Montgomery than I think most people expected, but rookie running back, they'll get him up to speed. I think Jahmyr Gibbs will be taking most of the carries by week 6. He looked great.
Dude, I didn't realize how fast he is. He is lightning.
The Alabama people have been singing his praises. Like, I think might be the most explosive back out of Alabama since, like, healthy Ingram. I mean, like, his acceleration and quick step is unbelievable.
That Alabama class last year is going to go down as one of like the biggest wastes of talent in the recent history of NCAA football. I mean, there are a lot of really good players in that team, and you see it with Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, yeah, he's great running the ball, great catching the ball in the backfield. Like, he can do it all. He looks explosive while doing it. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that was the Lions' game plan though: run the ball, get the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown occasionally. You know, he's going to be in the flat, wide open. So I think they did what they wanted to do. They wanted to keep it low scoring because you can't go out there and outscore the Chiefs, even without Travis Kelce. You don't want it to turn into a fireworks show. So,
did you see St. Brown's celebration after he scored that touchdown? He was like humping the ball, and then the cameraman like went up to him and panned. It was so funny. It's just
like went away from it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's like, what is that? Yeah, it's funny. So moving on to some of the other stuff, Robbie, your NFC East prediction is not looking very good after the Cowboys beat the New York Giants 40-0.
I know the Patriots.
We just went straight from Thursday night to Sunday night football.
Yeah,
Connor.
that's crazy.
Actually. No
I don't
chronological order.
I don't know
That's
what's
crazy.
happening.
Anyways,
but I mean, it's the score order, whatever.
In 2014, the New England Patriots lost the Buffalo Bills 38-3 in Week 1. And they went on to win the division that year, and I think they're pretty far in the playoffs. Connor, I think they
the coping from you is crazy this episode. We're only like 10 minutes in.
Was that a comparison to Daniel Jones to Tom Brady? Is that what I just?
It is, and I'll stand by it. It is, and I will stand by it. And Brian Dabble is basically, Bill Belichick. So yeah, no, there's gonna be a lot of coping this episode. I had a really, really bad weekend of football, fellas. So just gonna be a lot of coping from me. But I'm gonna stand by it. So.
Moving on here, we got the Ravens beat the Texans 25-9. I don't think either team looked very good in this game.
I can't say a minute of this football game.
Stroud struggled. Texans offensive line still looks bad. Texans defense looks better. Yeah, they definitely look better. Lamar just kind of looked at a rhythm all game.
I mean, granted he didn't have Andrews, but still.
A big blow to the Ravens with J.K. Dobbins. Going down with a blown Achilles. Man is allergic to staying on the field. There goes my smoke alarm.
Ryan noticed earlier, Connor, my fantasy team, my nickname for J.K. Dobbins was "Please Stop Getting Hurt." That's like his name on my team. And they clearly didn't live up to that.
No, they didn't listen to you.
The Texans feel like a team to me that is going to play spoiler later in this year.
Could be.
Like it's going to be like 17 or 18 and someone's going to need a win. And they're like, oh, they're playing the Texans. Like they're going to win that game. Yeah. And somehow they're going to pull it out because by then CJ Stroud will be a little bit more settled and their defense is good enough to win them a game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it just feels like they're going to spoil one later in the year.
I mean, they've got talent between Stingley and obviously Will Anderson now. And I think Stroud is just raw talent. Nico Collins is good. I mean, Robert Woods played surprisingly well for me, how old he was or how old he is. No, definitely, I agree with that. They got some talent.
I think I saw too that Will Anderson had the most pressures by a rookie in his debut, pretty much since they started keeping track of that as a stat. It was like him and Bosa were the two most. I mean, he looked great. Worthwhile of the pick they took him at. So.
Yeah, moving to the next game here, we got the Ohio Showdown. The Browns beating the Bengals 24-3. The Bengals having a rough time. Joe Burrow didn't look good. I mean, Tyler Boyd got targeted 8 times and didn't catch a single ball. Nick Chubb ran the hell out of the ball. That's all I know. Nick Chubb
always does.
That's what I'm saying. I told you. I saw this on Sleeper or whatever. He caught 4 passes, which he did only once the entirety of last season. He never caught more than 3 passes except for once last season.
I mean, that's also just an example of like there was really bad like throwing conditions.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say though too, like they're also ahead most of that game, which you expect like them to be throwing the ball less when they're kind of ahead, especially in a rain game like that. So like you might see that more consistently from Chubb especially if they're down in a game, they gotta start airing it out a little bit more. Yeah, I think Kareem Hunt being gone opens them up a little bit more to catch the ball in the backfield.
Just about to say that. I agree.
Arguably the most surprising loss of the weekend, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating the Minnesota Vikings 20-17. Baker Mayfield looking pretty good out there, actually surprisingly decent.
Let's pump the brakes.
I don't know, like good game manager.
He looked better than we expected.
Yeah, exactly.
He looks like a man out there trying to win the team, and he's playing his heart out. I think he looked really good in terms of like effort. And he played with his heart on his sleeve. I mean, there were a couple of plays like he just got smoked. I mean, he's putting his body on the line again, like Baker always does. So he's probably gonna get hurt again. Kirk played fine. Jeff had 150 yards.
Addison had a touchdown.
At this
just
rate,
a gritty win, especially in Minneapolis.
If Justin Jefferson continues this, he's gonna be like a Mahomes type thing, whereas like he's already gonna be in those conversations after a certain amount of years. If he continues up this work rate and for a certain amount of time, I mean he's gonna be like Mahomes is, like as young as he is, already being in those conversations. It's ridiculous.
So I mean, we talked about the Vikings have no reason to not win this division this year. I'm sure we're going to talk about how Jordan Love and the Packers looked, which was somewhat surprising. But if they go through a year where they fumble their way to like 7-9 or 6-10 or something, I guess it's more than that now. But I mean, if they stumble their way to that record, like, do you look at moving on from Kirk Cousins? Like, have we gotten to that point now?
Kirk is a borderline top 10 quarterback, and that's not even me meat riding Kirk Cousins. That's just like a blanket statement.
I think top 10 is a little bit much. Top 15 maybe.
I said borderline top 10. I didn't say firmly
But-
top 10.
I mean, something's got to
He's
give.
firmly
with the
top
team.
15. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the team is good enough to win around him. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really
Madison
interested to
was a
see
little
what the
disappointing.
departure of Dalvin Cook does, because the Vikings only had about 40 yards in the ground. So
Yeah,
they
Madison didn't
looked
look
like
great.
very, very one-dimensional. And I
Yep.
think the Bucs, as old as that defense is starting to get, like I think their DBs played really well, even though they gave up over 300 yards to Kirk, but like they kept the damage minimal enough to win that game.
Yep.
So
yeah, we'll move on. Excuse me. We'll move on to the next game here. A little bit of a mid-off between the Saints and the Titans, 16-15. I don't really have much to say about it. Michael Thomas didn't get hurt, so they're
Michael Thomas looked
He did.
decent.
He did.
He actually looked healthy for the first time in a while. Yeah. Olave's fast.
Yeah,
that man can run.
Shaheed played well.
Shaheed played really well. The Titans, they just look frustrated. There were multiple times I saw D-Hop like throw his hands up, or like another couple, one of the Titans receivers just like really frustrated with like what Tannehill was doing.
What does it say about Malik Willis and
Will Levis?
Will Levis that like they're still starting Ryan Tannehill, because we know that Ryan Tannehill is like
they're
not
bad.
great.
It means
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, okay, now you've wasted two round picks on these guys that you're not even going to try to start.
Dude, like, also, D-Hop's not allowed to be frustrated. He chose to go to Tennessee with this, like, he knew what was going to happen there. Like, I don't get.
I mean,
like,
he didn't want to stay. You didn't want to stay in Arizona, right?
Yeah, no,
like,
I
that
agree.
Situation is somehow worse.
But go to Belichick. Like, the Patriots were in his rotation of teams that he might go to. Like, I think that's a better situation than Tennessee is right now, especially with Henry just getting older and you have no future. I mean, it's
Dude, he just went to Tennessee for the tax reasons.
Yeah, literally.
That'd just be the number one wide receiver, like unquestioned. Like,
right?
Yeah.
He's the guy.
I think he would have been that in New England.
True.
So I mean,
Probably. Well, the disrespect to Juju like that, damn.
he's
great.
Washed. Talk about washed.
Yeah.
Moving to the next one here, we're gonna let Robbie take this one because he was actually at this game. The Falcons beating the Panthers 24-10. I'm sorry that you have another season where you have to cope, Robbie.
I mean, this entire football season is going to be me coping. I really hope one of my fantasy teams figures it out and we can be happy about that, because there's not a lot to be happy about otherwise. But, Bryce looked like a rookie quarterback. No, he threw 2 picks and they were both bad picks, but it was honestly a lot of him trying to do a little too much. I think he'll get it figured out. I think he'll be fine. It's just going to be a slow season. I think, come halfway through the year, the Panthers are going to have 1 or 2 wins and probably pick up a couple towards the end of the year and get it going. But Bijan looked great. Tyler Algier looked really good too. If the Falcons can't run the ball, they're screwed, because Desmond Ridder fucking sucks.
Yes.
I don't think he threw more than like 1 pass, more than 10 yards downfield. He looked bad. They still won the game. So, I mean, as long as they can run the ball, as long as they can, get the ball into the running back's hands and let them make plays, they'll be fine. But they're going to get to a point where they can't run the ball and they're going to be in deep shit.
That's when you just dump it off to Bijan on like a wheel route.
It doesn't matter if there's fucking 8 in the box if you're running whatever. I mean, I guess you just got to get a linebacker on Bijan and hope for the best.
Like, Ridder didn't look great, but he didn't turn the ball over. Like,
that's what he does, though. He just doesn't.
He was able to give it to the running backs, and they were able to do something. Like Bryce was much more on like the forcing it mentality. Yeah. Had a little bit of a connection with Hayden Hurst leading all receivers for Carolina. Sanders looked pretty okay on the ground, getting more involved in the passing game as well. As actually Carolina's second leading receiver. Yeah. So I'm sure he will be busy. Bryce only like a 50% completion percentage. So this
is the first game I watched where Chuba Hubbard actually like looked like he was supposed to be in the NFL. Like previously, he's not looked great, and I actually thought he looked a lot better this game as kind of the backup to Miles Sanders. So that was good to see. Panthers' wide receiving core is just
it's bad. It's really bad.
I think we don't have 100. Like Thielen's not 100% healthy. DJ Chark wasn't playing. I mean, not that moves the needle for you much, but like you got to have something. The answer is not Adam Thielen on one leg. So
yeah. We have some more results. Jaguars beating the Colts 31-21. I thought Anthony Richardson actually looked pretty decent in this game. Lawrence seems to have taken like a quarter of a step up, half a step up. I mean, he's definitely better than he was last season. Ryan keeps singing his praises. I know Travis Etienne looked good.
Here's a hot take. I think the Colts snag an AFC wildcard spot.
They looked better than I thought they would, especially without Jonathan Taylor.
That's my hot take for week 1. They gave the Jags a run for their money. Honestly, that game was close.
I think the AFC is a little too deep for that. I
agree.
Unfortunately,
it's really when Richardson, if he was able to like become rookie of the year caliber to like lead this team.
Some of that is depending on as we're recording the podcast type of headline with Aaron Rodgers leaving the game,
right?
Kind of knock another team out of kind of that wild card running. Although the Jets might still be good enough, but I mean, you got to think about you have the Chiefs and the Chargers in the same division. That's one spot gone. You got, the Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers are all good enough. The Steelers look like shit. Maybe I shouldn't say the Steelers. All look good enough. Then you got the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets, theoretically, all good enough to make a wild card. It's packed in the AFC right now. So I think it might be a little premature this year, but he did look better than I thought he was going to.
Moving to the next game here.
This was also the only game that hit the over in the 1 o'clock slot.
There you go.
7 of 8 were hit at the under for the 1 p.m. game, so it's pretty interesting.
Moving to the next one here, as Robbie mentioned, the Steelers not looking very strong in a loss to the 49ers, 30-7. Brandon Ayuk having a massive game before him having to go out with injury. A weird connection. I don't think really many people expected between Purdy and Ayuk there. Obviously, CMC had himself a day. I think Debo did just fine for himself, but the Niners looking good, and I feel good about my Super Bowl prediction.
Ayuk owners will say they saw this a lot on the back half of the Niners season last year. Ayuk really started coming into his own. The Niners look like fucking Terminators.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
they look so good. Like, I know the Steelers aren't good, but like the Niners looks like.
But
well,
I mean, talk about. People can debate all day if like Brock Purdy is the product of the system and the talent he's surrounded by, or if he's just really somehow turned it on. But like, you couldn't put a guy in a more comfortable position.
I was gonna say he's just perfect for the offense. No matter if it's the system or not, he's exactly what they need.
He's a game manager, and like he doesn't need to be the superstar. He just needs to get the 3/4 guys that are superstars the ball.
But he can still make plays with his legs if he needs to. Like he can extend plays. Like he can do things that I think put him above just being a game manager.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. He's gonna get just enough done to get everyone else involved.
Yeah.
He's got 2 All-Pros and 2 Pro Bowlers on the offensive side of the ball with him, not even counting like Trent Williams on the offensive line. That's really stout as well.
Fred Warner. It's like
and the defense is the defense is going to do what they're going to do. Yeah, the Niners are going to run away with that division.
Moving on to the next one here, just a horrible game. The Commanders beating the Cardinals 20-6. It's just an awful game. 20-16.
Offensive showcase.
It's so bad. I don't even want to talk about the game. They're going to move on to the next one.
I will give Sam Howell a little bit of credit. I know they're going against the Cardinals, but Sam Howell looked a little bit better than I think people thought. I think he's going to be definitely serviceable for the Commanders this year. Running game for the Commanders is fucking non-existent. I don't know what Gibson or Robinson are doing.
Do you guys know that dude on TikTok that he's like a Cowboys fan, but his whole thing is like he'll be like he reviews NFL games, whatever. He's like a dot to the ops. He's like that. You know what I'm talking about? You know who that dude is?
And Dak Prescott makes a great throw.
Like,
defense.
Dude, he was like Sam Howell out here looking like a legit NFL quarterback. It's so funny. But yeah, he did like a week 1 recap. You guys should watch it. It's very cool. Moving on to the next one here, the Raiders beating the Broncos 17-16 in another game that was not great. I don't know what
Russ looked better.
He lost to the Raiders.
He looked better.
Maybe
he's not saying a lot, but he did.
I didn't watch like any of the 4 p.m. games because my roommate was really wanting to watch the Eagles game. So I got the takes on the Eagles game. So
I'd say I didn't get to watch a lot because I was at the stadium for the 1 o'clock games, and by the time we got home, the 4 o'clock games were halfway through. So.
And then arguably the game of the weekend, the Miami Dolphins beating the Los Angeles Chargers 36-34. Tyreek Hill having an insane game. Tua throwing for over 450 yards in this one. It was a shootout just as we expected it to be a shootout. I mean, nobody expected a ton of defense.
I mean, this just proves what we did last year. If Tua can stay healthy, the Dolphins are good enough to win a lot of football games.
Dude, the Waddle
they took
1-2 is crazy.
They took a couple shots back from the Chargers. The Chargers played well in this game too. Herbert looked great, and they still pulled it out. I mean, this team, it's a really good team. Just the question is Tua, as it's always going to be.
I mean, he threw for 460 yards or whatever.
Not his play. Can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field?
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna move on to the next one here. As Ryan said,
just real quick, I just wanted to put out the Chargers had over 230 yards on the ground.
Dude, Eckler is
like
insane.
The Chargers are running the ball.
Yeah,
the Kelly
played well.
Eckler was going to be good, but Joshua Kelly got the same amount of carries as Eckler and had like 100 yards to show for it as well. So I mean, there's going to be maybe a little bit backfield by committee there, but I think
Eckler's just so good in the passing game. Like dude, Herbert just like usually you see these quarterbacks, usually they'll form a connection with like the wide receiver or usually tight ends for younger quarterbacks. Herbert and Eckler have like I've never seen a quarterback running back like throwing combination like these two. It's crazy how much he dumps the ball off to Eckler.
Remember when we talked about that Eckler might fall off this year?
Uh-oh.
Hey, it's week 1.
Yeah. Three more here. We got the aforementioned Philadelphia Eagles beating the New England Patriots 25-20. Ryan will give it to you.
Yeah, this was quite the game. First quarter was disgusting, especially with it being Tom Brady night in Foxborough. So the Patriots fans were all just rabid. And then for the Eagles to go up 16-0 within the first 10 minutes of the game was and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but the Eagles defense looked really shaky on all of the Patriots touchdown drives. I mean, the Eagles didn't score again until the fourth quarter. Mac Jones actually settled in, looked really, really comfortable in the second and third quarter, threw for 3 touchdowns, I think. Really suspect time management in the fourth quarter. Jalen made a big airhead play by running the ball and getting it knocked out for a fumble. And then Sirianni went for it on 4th and 2 from his own 45, up by 5 in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left. It didn't make any sense. So close game. Shocked the Eagles pulled it out. I thought the Patriots were going to yoink it from them. But definitely an exciting game.
Also, them not scoring at the end, I believe, made the under hit by, I think, a half a point.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. Couple of people, fantasy-wise, Kenneth Gainwell actually got the most work of all the Eagles running backs.
Didn't play.
Yeah. Swifty fans are on red alert for that. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith looked great. And then, he was spreading around to a lot of the Patriots receivers. So Ramondre also didn't get a whole lot of work. Zeke got a little bit more work than I thought he would. So pretty interesting from a fantasy perspective.
2 more games here to cover real quick. The Packers beating the Bears 38-20. I know, Robbie, you said you had something to say about this one.
Yeah, Jordan Love looked good. I did see a great stat on ESPN. Do you know the last quarterback to throw for 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in Packers season opener?
Brett Favre.
No, it was Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago, but they felt the need to put that on the bottom ticker like it was some insane stat. I couldn't believe my eyes. I think Jordan. But I thought Jordan Love looked good. Justin Fields is who he thought he was. He's a running back that occasionally throws the ball when he feels like it. I think the Bears will still win some games. I think they'll be all right. But Jordan Love looked steady, looked solid.
We'll say in injury news, Aaron Jones did leave in the third quarter. Packers still say his hamstring is being evaluated, so A.J. Dillon could be getting some work for the next couple weeks, even though he looked like shit. A.J. Dillon looked like molasses.
Yeah. What is up with hamstrings this year? I feel like everyone's missing a hamstring this year.
It's a good. Last game of the weekend, another surprising result here as the Rams without Cooper Kupp defeat the Seattle Seahawks 30-13. I did not think that the Rams would beat the Seahawks by 3 scores. That is insane.
Stafford looked decent.
Yeah.
Stafford took care of the ball, got it to his playmakers. Tutu Atwell and Puka both having 119 yards.
That's what his name
through
was.
The air.
Yeah. Puka Nakua?
Nakua. Yeah. Puka Nakua.
Yeah.
Could not remember
my best stab at it. Cam Akers, 22 carries for 29 yards. Looks like hot shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Awful.
I didn't watch the game. Oh.
Yeah.
God almighty.
Well, and that's what they long carry of 12. So he had 21 carries for 17 yards, dude.
That's
It was
crazy.
bad.
Ryan, they could put you out there and you would get more yards on that many carries. I'm not necessarily saying that as a joke. If you just run forward, you should get more yards than that.
I have no idea what was happening.
Let's not act like this like Seahawks defense is like something incredible, especially up front. Like,
Oh.
they're
Yeah.
okay, but like
That's crazy.
Gino did not look good. Just also wanted to put that out there.
he's
He
still
had like
doing right
110
back up.
yards through the air. Like it just wasn't. I don't know what the fuck the Seahawks are doing. Honestly.
Shout out to Jackson Smith-Njigba. He played. I mean, he wasn't. He obviously had the surgery on his wrist, so he played, and he had a fine game for his debut. Obviously, not the. I would probably say the best rookie of the weekend.
Targets on the team.
Yeah, best rookie of the weekend was probably Addison. I mean, Jordan Addison. He had a good game outside. Bijan obviously played well, but Addison had a really good game. I mean, obviously, Jettis, even though he had that many yards, they're still double teaming him, and he's getting that many yards, but. Obviously, you got another guy to throw to.
Addison is going to fill Thielen's role. It's not like Thielen, didn't get any targets while he's up there, and he's also like considerably more athletic and a better receiver than Adam Thielen is. So I mean, he's going to have his opportunities. So
100%. So yeah, we're going to move into the week 2 preview. Obviously, that took a good chunk of time, so we're not going to go through every game here. It's going to be more so we're going to do our thing where we talk about what over unders we like the most, what spreads we like the most, and then we're going to move on to the next thing.
They got the Green Bay Packers is only a point favorite over the Atlanta Falcons this coming weekend. So you're essentially looking at a pick'em. If I'm comparing Jordan Love and Desmond Ridder from last week, Jordan Love looked a lot better than Desmond Ridder did. I think the Packers win this game. I think a -1 is a little bit disrespectful. I guess the game is in Atlanta, but still. So I like the Packers -1.
So the spread that I like the most here, I think I do not see how the Los Angeles Chargers do not beat the Titans
I was thinking the same thing.
More than 3 points. Especially after the game they just put up against the Miami Dolphins, who obviously look like one of the better teams in the league. The Titans look not good. I mean, granted, even though it's in Tennessee, I don't care. Like the Chargers, I don't see how that is not covered by the Los Angeles Chargers and that dynamic offense, especially when Tennessee's defense isn't that great. So I'm going to go with the Chargers Titans with the Chargers favored by 3. I think the Chargers cover that.
I think the Colts only -1 against the Texans. I think that's a little disrespectful to the Colts.
They got a 1.5.
Oh,
but still,
yeah.
Honestly, and I'm looking at the over under here. I know it's high, but I kind of like the Bengals Ravens at 46.5. I think both of those teams are going to be relatively like frustrated and disappointed with how they played last week.
Yeah.
And I think the Bengals are going to spend a lot of time trying to workshop. I think that 46.5 goes over.
I'm annoyed because the one that I picked has been taken off the board, or was taken off the board. It was the Bills and Raiders I believe the over under was 48. I think I want to say.
That's what I see currently what I'm looking at.
Oh, okay. Then they took it away on ESPN for some reason. I'm going to go the under on the Bills and the Raiders game. I think the Bills have a good game, but I honestly don't think the Raiders get anything going. I could see this being something like, what is it, like 48? So it's like 31-10. Like I could see this being a decent scoring game for the Bills and then a low scoring game for the Raiders. So I'm going to take the under there for the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Buffalo Bills, especially at Buffalo.
Fellas, I'm looking at the lowest point total of the week next week, and that would be what's going to be a fantastic game between the Washington Commanders and the Denver Broncos. Neither of those teams hit that point total in the week 1 games. I don't expect them to do it again. I know that's the lowest line of the week. I don't see any way that game hits the over. I don't see it. 13-10 would not shock me at all. It's going to be the under on 39, Commanders Broncos.
I think that's
and for our listeners on the Monday night games, there's actually a doubleheader. Not even a doubleheader. They're just offset by an hour. It's the Saints Panthers at the 7:15 slot and the Browns Steelers at the 8:15. So a couple of divisional games, and then a barn burner of a Sunday night game between the Dolphins and the Patriots.
That'd be a good one.
It's the same thing with college. Like I feel like this week is going to suck. I don't feel like a lot of
Chiefs Jags will be a great game.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I am, especially Kelsey coming back.
I think Vikings Eagles will be a good game Thursday night. I think it's a good Thursday night game to start off with.
I think like I said, Ravens Bengals I think will be better. I think both those teams will be better.
Yeah.
Jets Cowboys look like it might be fun, but
if Zach Wilson plays, the Cowboys are gonna do just feral things to that offense.
Zach,
Yeah.
did you tell me Zach Wilson is not going to beat Micah Parsons? Are you sure?
Are you positive?
Correct.
So yeah, I mean that is our going to be our week 2 NFL preview. We're going to move into some more football here, but we're going to be talking about college football. I have got one headline for you guys before we get into kind of the week 2 review and the week 3 preview. Michigan State football coach Mel Tucker has been suspended without pay while the university completes an investigation into claims that he sexually harassed a prominent sexual assault awareness speaker after she was hired to address the Spartan team. Athletic director Alan Haller announced Tucker's interim suspension Sunday night, less than 24 hours after news of the claims against the fourth-year head coach was made public in reports from ESPN and USA Today. So we will see how that develops with Michigan State.
I thought I saw that he's officially been let go.
Oh, I thought this was pretty recent.
No, I'm wrong. I said there's a report that he's likely done.
He's denying all claims, calling the hearing a sham and ridiculously flawed. So this is going to get ugly.
Yeah.
Bottom line, it's just not going to look good.
Which will probably mean that he will just be released at whatever point it will be. So yeah, I mean, we will see what happens with Michigan State there. We are going to move into our college football week 2 review. We had some upsets. We had some great games. Gentlemen, unfortunately, I think the thing we have to absolutely talk about is Alabama falling to Texas in Tuscaloosa. Texas looks legit, and Ryan predicted this, and I will give him all the credit in the world, but unfortunately they came at the expense of your alma mater, and I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, it's a tough scene.
Jalen Milroe's ass.
In that loss, and I'm not thrilled with how Milroe played. It's 100% not fully on Milroe. And any Alabama fan that's saying that is actually smoking crack. Our DBs got torched. We couldn't get a pass rush on Quinn Ewers. I thought some of the plays that we had drawn up on the offensive side weren't taking real advantage of some of our matchups. And I think our offensive line needs some work, potentially even personnel changes. Now I know
our offensive line. Our offensive line needs to hit the fucking treadmill is what they need to do.
Yeah, they got some big boys.
They keep putting up the stat like they're bigger than the average NFL. And so I was like, why do you think that the NFL offensive lines aren't that big? Like, there's a reason, right? Like, these guys have the choice of the best offensive linemen in the world, and they don't take these big guys. It's because they can't pass protect. You can't move your feet backwards that fast if you're that big. So it's great. But like, at the end of the day, we didn't run the ball all that well either.
No.
So it's like you're not taking advantage of your size there. Why is your size this much then? And that's the question I think needs to be answered. A couple more things. I mean, we just look sloppy. I mean, again, way too many penalties, way too many dumb penalties, 2 different touchdowns taken off the board for dumb penalties.
That shocked me after last year that a Nick Saban coach team would do the same thing against the same team. That's crazy.
I know we played Middle Tennessee in week 1, but like a lot of the issues we had last year.
Sorry,
did you get it?
Funny.
Did you get it?
Fucked him up. Got him.
Yeah, let's go. Like we didn't have any penalties in that one. We looked a little bit sharper. I know it's Middle Tennessee, but we just like didn't make the dumb mistakes we have made, and then it came all back around again in week 2, just like it did last year.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, that sucks this early in the season. I mean, obviously, one of my CFP predictions was Alabama, which I could obviously still feasibly happen, but it's not likely.
Yet. It's not over yet.
Completely right.
Shout out to Sark. I mean, he's really done a great, and really good job at the program. Game planned well for our strengths and weaknesses. Quinn looks good.
He looked a lot better than he did last year.
They lost a decent amount of players, just like we did, and I mean, I don't really see anybody challenging them in the Big 12 this year.
No.
So no. I have to say, a lot of people, every time Alabama loses, you have to talk about is the dynasty over? Is this finally the time that Nick Saban falls back? And it is, in this fact. Alabama is no longer good enough to play like shit and go beat good teams. Yeah. No one comes in to play to Alabama now and is scared anymore. You're just not. We're just not that same team. We're absolutely still good enough to win the big games and go to national championship games. But the dynasty is not on that level anymore where we can just waltz in and people are going to be scared of us and we're going to win. And that's what they have to get through their heads. We're just not that good anymore.
Yeah. You heard it here.
And it is crazy that we had four straight at current NFL starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And we got Jalen Milroe, and we think that we cannot potentially do something at the quarterback position. Like
Yeah.
I have faith in the coaches in the recruiting that got all those guys there. I have faith that we'll be able to figure something out and make some adjustments.
I mean, our quarterback doesn't have to be Tua. They don't have to be Bryce Young. They just have to take care of the ball. Because at the end of the game, the 2 picks led to the 10 points. There were a difference in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on from. I mean, obviously, congratulations to UT, congratulations to the Longhorns. It's a huge win for them, and they've entered the top. What are they ranked? Are they ranked 4?
They're ranked 4.
Yeah, they're ranked 4 now.
fell to 10.
So 11-4 and then 3-10. So yeah, the only other upset of the top 25 was shout out to Wazoo, Washington State taking down Wisconsin. They are swinging after obviously everybody in the Pac-12 is leaving.
Fellas, we are on track to see a Washington State Oregon State Pac-12 championship.
I would love it. I'm not gonna lie. That
fair.
Would be amazing.
It could happen. I know they haven't played a single conference game yet, but they're both 2-0. They're both ranked.
They're both
Let's
ranked.
get weird. Let's get weird.
Please, yeah. Let's get nuts. I mean, everything else kind of played out as expected. A lot of these teams, I think, obviously, we discussed in week 1 how a lot of them looked rough between Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan. That was not the case this week for most of them. Michigan had a little bit lower point total than I think people expected. They looked good. Penn State looks like a beast. Like I was shocked by how good Penn State's looking. Obviously, Florida State shutting up the haters after last week, and then obviously we got to talk about the one top 25 matchup this past week: Ole Miss and Tulane. Ole Miss coming out
Texas,
with the
Alabama,
W.
Yes. Sorry.
No, I said the sorry. Yes, the other one. But Ole Miss coming out on top, 37-20. I mean, as opposed to the last quarter, this was a pretty close game.
Closer game than the score indicates, for sure. Watching the end of the game, like it felt like Tulane could still come back really up until the last score. So very good game. Tulane's going to win their conference and maybe make another New Year's 6. I don't really know who else is out there that might take a New Year's 6 from Tulane, so we might see them back again in a New Year's 6 game.
Gabe and I were watching, obviously, we were watching the Oklahoma State game the other night, and we saw the LSU line was, I believe, minus 56.5. They covered.
Scrambling? Yeah.
They covered. I was like, there's no way they cover that, right?
Gross,
they
honestly.
did cover 72-10 against Grambling after lost to Florida State.
Shout out Texas A&M for sucking.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't see
Shout out Jimbo.
Shout out Jimbo. Miami hung 48 on them. Van Dyke, that man's legit. If Miami might fuck around and beat an ACC team that doesn't see them coming. I think they got a pretty high-powered offense.
Clemson or FSU.
Yeah, those are the two. Yes, correct. Yeah. North Carolina is just flirting with danger. They're gonna lose a game here.
They have to stop scheduling App State. What the fuck are they doing? Why do you keep scheduling them? Do you want to lose a game you're not supposed to?
The spookiest game,
dude. I'll tell you what. I was watching that game because as an avid North Carolina hater, I had to because they were in overtime.
Yeah.
Dude, App State's wide receiver got fucking mauled on that 4th down. The last play of the game, he got absolutely mauled, and they didn't call it. I was not happy. But
speaking of kind of getting mauled, I don't know if anybody saw the end of the Utah-Baylor game, but the Baylor receiver also kind of got mauled.
That was a PI. That should have been. And I was like kind of rooting for Utah, but like
I needed anything to happen to conserve my parlay, so I was rooting my balls off for Utah to make that stop. And I was like, Baylor fans cannot be thrilled dropping 0-2 like that.
I don't think it was egregious, but it was pass interference, and I hate when refs swallow their whistles. This happens in college, this happens in the NFL, this happens in the NBA. Call the freaking game like you've called the game the whole game. Do not change it because you. Oh, it's so aggravating.
Come out and set the tone, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't want to affect the outcome, so I'm not going to do anything." It's like, no, just keep doing what you've been doing.
That's part of what officiating is. Oh, it's so. I hate when refs swallow their whistles when they've been calling it the whole game. It's so bad. It's the worst.
And one that I wanted to note from week 2, spooky game in Lubbock. Oregon almost goes down to the Raiders after they got embarrassed by Wyoming. Oregon had to put up 20 in the 4th quarter just to escape. Never fun to go into Lubbock. I don't care how bad Tech potentially might
spooky.
be. It's not a fun place to play.
Is Tech the new Nebraska? Is Tech losing by one score every game this year?
Pump the brakes. Let's.
No one can ever be the new Nebraska. Nebraska's in their own little field there.
And they lost Colorado, which isn't a shock.
Matt Rule is 0-2, and it's just great.
You like
something had to come from this weekend, and that's it right there.
Just you're a
Hoping
full-time
Panthers
hater. It's disgusting. It just would have been better if Carolina had lost to App. I mean, that's really would have been the cherry on
It
top.
would have turned my weekend around. I'll tell you what.
We're gonna move into our pick'em for this next week. We have a pretty
What a
awful
bad week
slate.
it is.
Yeah, pretty awful slate of college games.
Some fun facts about this slate, fellas. There's no top 25 matchups. And of all the top 25 teams playing this weekend, only 2 games have a line or a spread under double-digit points.
God almighty.
We're picking both of those. But it's just an abysmal week of college football. We'll update on our standings here because we're keeping ourselves honest. Also, I'm winning, so I'm going to state the standings. Connor turning in another 2-3 week. He's consistent. He's staying there, coming in at an overall 4-6. 4-6, nailed it.
Holy math.
Ryan picked it up this week. You got a nice 3-2 week out of him. He's also sitting at 4-6 now. I turned in another 4-1 week for myself, coming in at 8-2 overall. I'm gonna put it together here and see how many units we'd be up, so people can know if they bet with us if we'd actually be winning money or not. So I'll get that put together for next week. We'll have that ready. But we got an excellent slate of games to pick from. I threw a couple fun ones in there just to get wild, just to see what's going on. But our first game, one that's not on a lot of people's radars, I think is going to be a really fun matchup in the state of Alabama. We got Troy facing James Madison.
Who wants to pick first?
I'll pick first. It's going to be James Madison. James Madison is a really, really good football team.
Just beat Virginia last week.
They seem to just have their way with some of these bottom Power 5 FBS schools. Troy's not even that necessarily. So I expect James Madison to take care of business here.
I am going to agree with that statement. I'm also going James Madison on this game here. They had, as Robbie stated, beating Virginia last week by 1 point. Obviously, there's a Power 5 team for you right there that will win under their belts. A pretty good offense. I mean, as Ryan said, like last year, James Madison they were ranked at some point last year, weren't they?
Yes, they were. I think they were still not bowl eligible and were ranked.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, no, I think JMU definitely picks up the win here over Troy. I think Troy who did Troy just lose to? It's in overtime to somebody, or no, they just beat somebody in overtime. I can't remember who they just played.
1-1. They got blown out by K-State last week.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was.
And they beat Stephen F. Austin only by 18 points the week before.
So I'm feeling James and Madison here.
Troy's actually favored in this game.
I was gonna say that's the crazy thing about this game, and that's why I picked it. Is they're actually favored by 2 points.
Yeah,
it's at home, so it's another one of those pick'ems.
Yeah. But I'm going to agree with the bros on this one. Obviously, Troy has not looked great so far this year. I think James Madison has looked better. I think they get that win in Troy, Alabama. The next game, this rivalry, I believe, got revived last year. It was one of the best rivalries of the early 2000s. We have the backyard brawl with Pitt versus West Virginia.
I'll take it. West Virginia is bad. Pitt is also not great, but Pitt is going to win this game. West Virginia, obviously, me being in the Big 12, I have my eye on the Big 12 teams a little more than most people do, probably. West Virginia was pretty awful last year. Granted, Oklahoma State lost to them. Don't worry about it. But basically, I don't think West Virginia has had enough time to really revitalize that program. I don't think they got enough guys that came in. And I think Pitt has looked pretty okay. I think they're 1-1. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe
they lost to Cincinnati last week.
They lost Cincinnati, but obviously that's not a terrible loss. Cincinnati's been pretty decent ever since their CFP run there. So I think Pitt takes it in West Virginia.
Personally for me, this screams of a matchup that is so even. Whoever plays it at home and has the most raucous fan base is going to win this game. I think Morgantown is excited for this rivalry to be back. I think that student section is going to be loud and pumping on a 7:30 p.m. kick. I'm going to go with the Nears here at home.
I agree with Ryan for all of the same reasons. The first time they've had this game back in Morgantown, and I don't even know how long. It's going to be hype. They got beat up by Penn State a little bit, but that game, like, they hung around for a little bit, and all of a sudden they were just out of it. They had a nice little tune-up game last week, got a big win. Rolling in with some positive energy. I agree. I think the Mountaineers take this one.
Part of the reason that kind of reinforces my thought that this is just going to be a raucous game is you look at the potential tickets for this game. A couple of 1-1 teams that aren't expected to do this much this year, besides fighting for bowl eligibility. Cheapest ticket is $160 on StubHub.
That's crazy.
Mountaineers are going to show up for this game, and they're close. So Pittsburgh is also going to make the drive. It's going to be a really fun environment. So I'm actually excited for that game.
I agree. The next game up, fellas, this is the second tightest line of all of the top 25 teams playing this week. We got North Carolina playing Minnesota. The Tar Heels are favored by 7 points at home. What do we think?
Minnesota's ass. UNC. Book it. In the books, top 25 team. We're going to take the favorite here. I don't see Minnesota putting up any sort of a fight against UNC. I'm taking UNC here.
Not so.
Yeah, he hit him with it.
Gophers. Not the Gophers.
The Gophers are 2-0. North Carolina's 2-0. North Carolina has had some back-to-back emotional games. They're only favored by 7.5. Their quarterback doesn't like to really take care of the ball. I think the Gophers capitalize on some turnovers. And I think the Gophers win this game by a field goal in Chapel Hill.
If there's one North Carolina hater, it's me. And Ryan, you're wrong. The Tar Heels are going to win this game.
No, that's crazy.
This is Minnesota's first road game of the year. They struggled a little bit with Eastern Michigan last week at home. Carolina, like you said, back-to-back emotional games. I don't think it matters. I think they're going to be fired up. They're having some issues with trying to get one of their players eligible. I'm not totally up to date on what that is. Their board of trustees called a meeting about it last night to try to figure out how to get this guy eligible. I think they're going to be fired up. I think they're going to be playing for him, and I think they beat the Gophers at home and probably cover.
We shall see.
Agree.
Next one up, we got 2 SEC matchups to round it out here. This is actually the tightest line of any top 25 team this week.
Ridiculous.
Tennessee and Florida. Tennessee is only favored by 6.5.
And I think some of that might be voter fatigue from their piss poor Austin Peay performance, which I get. But the Gators are fucking bad.
Yeah,
as we discussed,
if anyone watched that Utah game, they're bad.
The Gators are a bottom tier SEC team. Tennessee is just not going to be thrilled with how they played last week. I think 6.5 is a joke.
Yeah,
I think it's at least a 2-score win by Tennessee.
Yeah, I think Milton's looked good. I mean, obviously, that last game wasn't great for anybody, but in that first game, I think he played well. I mean, his stats are good. Yeah, ESPN's match predictor only has Tennessee at a 54% chance to win this game. So I don't know. I
think someone's smoking crack.
I don't know what's going on. Does Vegas know something? This is a weird line. I don't know, man. But I'm definitely going Tennessee here. I don't see the Gators having any chance.
I agree. I don't see it in the cards. Tennessee had a bad performance last week. I think they'll rebound. In the swamp, a little bit spooky at night. Maybe something weird happens. I don't see it though. I would be shocked.
Yeah.
The last game of the weekend, again, just an awful weekend for college football.
Tough scene.
I'm glad that we have activities playing on Saturday, Ryan, because I'm glad that I don't have to sit around and watch these games.
Sure.
But the last game, we got the LSU Tigers visiting the Mississippi State Bulldogs in Starkville. Nice noon kickoff there for LSU. They're 10-point favorites. Mississippi State is 2-0, but I believe they played next to no one. And they played Southeast Louisiana and then needed overtime to beat Arizona last week.
There it is.
The LSU Tigers are going to win this game. The LSU Tigers, I think this is kind of where I expected them to fall in terms of their ranking. I think I said this whenever we talked about the LSU Florida State game. I think LSU will be a consistent 13 to 18 team in the AB poll throughout the season. I don't see them losing to a Mississippi State, even though they're away here. LSU is favored by 10 points. I don't know if they cover 10, to be completely honest. I could see this being like a 1-score 7-point game, but I'm going with Louisiana State University.
I think Vegas might have just outdone themselves on this line and over because I think it's going to be right there. I think LSU wins this game by 10. Mississippi State hasn't played great in a decent opponent and beat the brakes off somebody who's pretty bad. I have full faith in the Tigers pulling this one out.
I know nothing about this Mississippi State team. I couldn't name you a single player. I know nothing about them. I can't in good confidence pick them, even though I think LSU is overrated. Just can't do it. LSU gets the win in Stark Vegas. Oh, they still have Will Rodgers. Look at that. He's still there. But no, the LSU Tigers win this game in Stark Vegas.
Yeah.
So that was our full slate that we had for pick'ems. I want to mention a couple of other games. Not necessarily that we're going to pick, but College Game Day is actually headed to Boulder for the first time since 1996.
I figured I'd give us a week away from me just emphatically picking Colorado again, because we'll be back next week. But
they're hosting Colorado State. Very exciting for both programs to be featured on this game day. No one thinks this game is going to be like close, especially with how bad of a week of college football is. Why not give it to Boulder? I mean, they're just creaming Dion every time you turn on ESPN. It's really bad.
They're what?
You heard him.
They're whatting Dion?
I did have an interesting game that I thought should have potentially made our pick'em list. I'm gonna share this with you, gentlemen. We have a noon kick on the SEC network. This is between Missouri and number 15 Kansas State. Kansas State's favored by 5 points, and it's really just disappointing that I'm listing this as a exciting game for this weekend. That's really just showing you like how bad this fucking slate is. This is in Columbia. I mean, gentlemen, do we want to potentially pick this one? I think this might have a little bit of interest. A
little bonus pick action,
little Big 12 SEC action.
Let me give it to you straight. Will Howard is a hooper, and Will Howard being the Kansas State quarterback. He was a hooper last year. He kind of took over Martinez's job after Martinez got that injury. I'm going to go with the Kansas State. I'm going to go with Kansas State here. I don't think Mizzou really hasn't had any sort of notoriety in the past few years, and I think K-State probably just is that team right below Texas the whole season in the Big 12.
Yeah, and I brought this game to y'all's attention because I thought the line was a bit odd. I think Mizzou being within 5 points of K-State's a little rough, especially after they struggled last week against Middle Tennessee State. I think the Wildcats win pretty handily.
Yeah.
Don't think there's too much more about it, probably by 2 scores. Will Howard is that dude, like Connor said. But, could be a trap game for K-State.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think K-State wins and easily.
Easily? He said easily.
He did, in fact, say easily. It's crazy.
So yeah, we're going to move on from college football here, and we're going to get into some baseball action. Ryan's going to give you the MLB standings, but I'm going to give you one headline just before we do that. Reportedly, the Los Angeles Angels are willing to trade Mike Trout if the All-Star outfielder requests one. A little late for that, guys.
Yeah. We didn't do this at the trade deadline. Why?
What are they thinking? Yeah. So
correct.
We'll swing it over to Ryan for the MLB standings, and then the AL West heating up a little bit. I'll tell you what. But here you go, Ryan.
I'll tell you what. Shout out to Matt Olson for homering twice against the Phillies tonight, to reaching 50 homers on the season.
They still lost.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to mention that. So shout out to Matt Olson. That's a hell of a season you've been having. Also, as the time of recording this podcast, the Rangers are up 10-3 on the Blue Jays for an absolutely massive
that is huge, actually,
between the two teams fighting for wild card spots. But we will get into those said baseball standings. We're going to start with the AL East, with 3 teams that are going to make the playoffs from top to bottom: the Orioles, the Rays, and the Blue Jays. Orioles 90-52. Just playing some great baseball. No one would have thought they would have won the division this year. I think they're all but locked it up at this point, like a playoff spot at this spot at this point. Same with the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they've all but locked up the wild card spot. Yankees suck. Yankees still suck. Under 500. Yankees suck. 19.5 back of the Orioles. Definitely would not have seen that coming if you had asked me this same time last year. AL Central, they're playing baseball. They got 2 teams eliminated mathematically from postseason contention. That would be the Kansas City Royals and the Chicago White Sox.
Also the first team to 100 losses.
Yeah, they beat the A's to 100 losses. I mean, if you're a Royals fan, you're just That's just tough. I mean, it's just
That's,
really tough to see. Twins are 75 and 68, locked up. They have a 99.6% chance to win the division. So I think that's pretty much a foregone conclusion out there. Enough time spent on the Central. Out to the most exciting divisional race in baseball this year. That is the AL West with the Houston Astros at 82 and 62, Seattle Mariners at 79 and 64, and the Texas Rangers going to move to 79 and 64 after the completion of tonight's game. It's heating up. ESPN has them all over a 60% chance to make the playoffs, but we know that all of them potentially can make the playoffs. So it will be interesting down the stretch. Before the podcast, I said the Rangers and Mariners, 7 of the last 10 games, they play each other, which will obviously decide who goes to the playoffs and who doesn't. A's are 44 and 99. They potentially could not lose 100 games. Potentially.
They're still alive.
They're still alive. Out to the National League, the Atlanta Braves, I think, are the first team in baseball to 100% clinch a spot in the postseason, sitting at 94 and 50. 15 games over the Philadelphia Phillies that are pretty much all but guaranteed a wild card spot. Miami Marlins are 20 games back at them, 5 games over 500. Still trying to hold on to a wild card spot. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Mets still suck, 8 games under 500. And the Nationals are trying to climb out of the basement. To the NL Central, you got the Brew Crew holding on to a 3-game lead over those Chicago Cubs. No one in this division has reached 80 wins yet, so it's been pretty shitty, honestly. The Centrals in both the NL and the AL have not had great seasons. Like I said, Cubs are 3 back of the Brewers. The Reds are 6.5 back of the Brewers. Reds looks like their playoff hopes are quickly diminishing. Out to the NL West, the Dodgers pretty much have all but wrapped up the division. Diamondbacks, Giants are still fighting for potential wild card seeding, and the Colorado Rockies have been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. A lot of baseball still left to be played. Got about 25 games. So we should see an exciting finish to this season.
It's good to hear. Thank you, Ryan, for covering the MLB for us. I mean, at this point, what are your guys' World Series favorites? Obviously, you gotta consider the Braves in that conversation. What do you think on the other side? What do you think?
The National League, it's really going to come down to who comes out between the Dodgers and the Braves. I think those are by far the 2 most talented teams out there. The Orioles have had a great season. They don't have a ton of playoff experience, which in the MLB is sometimes a lot, like really, really important. Potentially, I think it comes out of the AL West. I mean, the Astros are getting hot at the right time, too. They've started, they have pulled away slightly in the AL West lead. I don't anticipate the Twins winning anything. Potentially the Rays or the Blue Jays, both really good teams. It's a crapshoot. I probably would go Astros, Braves World Series if I was a betting man. But I mean, anything can change.
Fair point, Robbie. What do you think?
I like the Braves. They've been the best team in baseball. I think they have the depth to get there as well. Give me maybe the most up there for the most fun team in baseball. The Seattle Mariners have really picked it up here recently. Young team, a lot of energy. Again, not a lot of playoff experience, but they did make the playoffs last year. They get to maybe get back again this year. Give me the Mariners go on a little run.
As we've discussed previously, I'm a big Mookie Betts guy, and so therefore I have to choose the Los Angeles Dodgers to advance.
Choose him.
See, the problem is Ronald Acuna is going to fall off, and he's going to be bad. Wow. And so Mookie and Mookie Betts is going to be good.
That's crazy.
So that's what's going to happen.
Crazy.
So we're going Dodgers Orioles just to be different from you guys.
Dodgers Orioles. There you go.
I like it. I like
that. It's gonna, that would be a fun series. Tell me that would be a fun World
versus
Series.
Goliath a little bit. I like it. I'm here for it.
So yeah, we'll move on from baseball here to some other headlines. Shout out to 19-year-old Coco Gauff, who wins the Women's U.S. Open. Gentlemen, she is younger than us, and she has achieved more than us combined, actually. So that's
Connor, we're in our mid-20s. Most of the people that we watch on TV now are younger than us.
Yeah, it feels bad.
That's depressing.
It's not
every single college athlete is younger than us. So
that's yeah. I'm almost
Whedon,
there.
you know, if he was still playing,
yeah, it's a good call.
Been older than
there
us.
might be a couple guys on
What's
BYU that might be older than us. That's actually a good call.
That's right. And then going to the men's side, Novak Djokovic wins the men's U.S. Open. So shout out to both of them.
You want to try to give his name one more shot?
I did this last time too. Djokovic, isn't it Djokovic?
Yeah, yes.
I did that last time too. I don't know why I can't say.
I mean, I both did.
I say
It's
Djokovic.
His 24th Grand Slam title, and he gave a shout out to Kobe afterwards too, because I guess him and Kobe were boys like that.
Yeah.
So he won his Kobe number of Grand Slam titles. So good for the Joker, the other Joker.
It's a lot of wins. That is a lot of wins.
It's a lot of wins.
Yeah. Moving on to the next thing here. Luis Rubiales, who we mentioned previously, he's the president of Spain's Soccer Federation, announced his resignation on Sunday following weeks of uproar over an unwanted kiss involving Women's World Cup champion Jenny Hermoso. Good. He's out, and we will move on. Next thing here, I just saw this. I didn't see this earlier in the week. NBA headline real quick. Houston Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr. was arrested Monday and charged with assault and strangulation after allegedly attacking his girlfriend at a New York City hotel. Obviously not much to say about that. Good. Just hopefully he's punished accordingly. Next year, the Las Vegas Aces have clinched the number 1 seed in the WNBA playoffs after Washington Mystics defeated the New York Liberty on a buzzer-beating shot Sunday afternoon on the final day of the regular season. The 8-team playoff begins Wednesday, so we're recording this on Monday, so it'll be in 2 days. So obviously next week we will have an update for you on the WNBA playoffs and what that looks like. Next thing here, Germany wins their first World Cup gold medal in basketball, led by Dennis Schroeder. Team USA not even making a podium, being defeated by Dylan Brooks.
They really let Dylan Brooks do that to us.
That's embarrassing, guys.
They really let the Maple Mamba do that to us. It's fucking crazy.
Maple Mamba. That's crazy. And then one of the biggest headlines of the weekend, Sean Strickland beating Israel Adesanya for the UFC middleweight title. Statistically, the biggest quote-unquote spread ever between a UFC middleweight fight. And not even beating him. The judges, all 3 judges scored 49-46 in Strickland's favor. He dominated Adesanya, and nobody expected that. Apparently, I didn't watch the fight. Apparently, his defense was just on another level, and he just had no shot against it. So shout out to Sean Strickland, man, the new UFC middleweight champion. It was kind of a weird press conference afterwards because Adesanya basically he sat there for like 60 seconds and he was like really peaceful and he was like, man, I just want to go be with my family or whatever. And then he just like left him, and I think his manager or something along those lines just like answered the questions for him. So it was kind of a weird press conference, especially because Adesanya is like usually a pretty big trash talker and stuff like that. So it was a little strange. But yeah, that is all in terms of the quote-unquote miscellaneous headlines. We are going to get into a draft that Robbie Bergstone has proposed to us. Robbie, why don't you introduce that for us?
Yeah, we're going to be doing a Doughnuts Draft in honor of all of your fantasy players out there that might have thrown up a donut in your matchup this week. Shout
out T. Higgins. Shout out Drake London. Sorry.
Yep, I had Drake London as well. Yep.
Pain.
Well, I had both of them.
That's sick. But no, not a great fantasy week, so we felt it was apt to do this. I already have the list ready, gentlemen. How many rounds, Connor? We're a little bit worried about 5 rounds. Do you feel comfortable with 3?
Yeah, no, I can do 3.
Okay, all right, we'll go 3. Good. So the order is myself, then Connor, then Ryan.
Oh God,
there you go.
All right,
Connor, how you feeling about your scouts?
I feel terrible. I'm not gonna lie. The scouts that I fired previously somehow got back in the organization, and I had no control over that.
You found out they were donut guys. Thought you could bring them back, and it turns out they're not donut guys.
The board of directors did overrule me on that one, but yeah, so we'll see.
Fellas, I'm gonna go to what I feel like is an easy one. A hot now glazed donut from Krispy Kreme. It just hits different. It's just
overrated.
No, wrong, incorrect. I won't make this blasphemy.
Glazed donuts are so over. They're good, and I'll give it to you.
Connor's glazing glazed.
Glazing glaze.
No, Robbie's
They're the LeBron James of donuts. You want to hate them because it's trendy and because you think they're a new, better option out there. But the fact of the matter is they're the GOAT in this sport.
Glazed donuts is the Bill Russell of donuts. Like they have all these accolades or whatever that they won in the 60s. Like
You're wrong. You're just wrong.
Don't get me wrong. I like a glazed donut, and I'll give you 100 times out of 100.
You gotta. The specific thing here, Connor, is the hot now.
I'll give you that one.
Cold glazed donut is not the same
not
thing.
the
It's not the same thing.
That's I just think it's a tad overrated. But for the 101, I don't know. I guess it's my pick now. I'm going to go to my 8-year-old palate and choose chocolate sprinkles for my first pick here.
You're gonna give me shit about picking a glazed donut. We're gonna throw hot chocolate sprinkles like that.
You don't enjoy a chocolate sprinkle?
I do, but that's just crazy that we're taking it at the 2-2.
I don't. How many donuts are there? I don't understand.
There's a lot of donuts.
I don't understand this thought process you guys have. There, there's so many donuts to choose.
There are.
All right, I'm taking chocolate sprinkle.
Gentlemen, there's a lot of arguing, and frankly, I don't give a fuck because I'm going to pick the most delicious donuts to myself, and the rest of the podcast and our fans can suck my nads. So we're going to go with back-to-back in the snake. This is me. This is me in my own stummy, being as a overweight man of 25. We're going to go with the apple fritter.
Damn it. Damn it.
It's a good pick.
It's a really good donut. I think he belongs. I think he belongs in the bottom of the first, top of the second round. That one, a lot of people agree on is good. Second one's going to be a controversial pick. This is one of my favorites, and that is a lemon-filled glaze.
You've got to be kidding me! There's no way you just picked those two. Oh, I'm so upset.
Connor's in shambles already. He's already done. GG.
I hate you.
The sweetness of the glazed donut.
There's no way.
Just with the citrusy and a little bit of bitterness with the lemon mixed together, it's just so good, especially when you pair it with a kolache and maybe a cold brew. I mean, come on now.
I hate you.
Come on now. Connor, it's over to you. What do you?
I don't want to do it. I quit. I'm not doing this anymore.
He's out. He's done.
There's no way I picture 1-2.
Yes.
That's crazy.
I literally picked the next two that I was going to were those two. You suck. Oh God, my scouting team is. I don't have one. They're in the fetal position right now. I guess we have to pick two more.
Fetal position.
Oh God, I'm so upset. I guess I'm gonna go to. I don't know exactly how to define this. It's like a cinnamon twist kind of donut. It's like a cinnamon based donut. Where it's one of those like cakey ones as opposed to more of the. You know what I'm talking about? As opposed to like the glazed. It's like a cake kind of thing.
So it's not donut shaped. It's like the twisted essentially.
Yeah, and it's usually more so like
glaze is just.
It's like a cake. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. I'm a big cinnamon sugar guy, and I think that it's they're pretty good on donuts.
I think it's a pretty shitty take, to be honest with you.
It's very very boring. A little bit.
Not thrilled with that pick. I think he's more of a 5th rounder, to be honest. We'll go on to Robbie. See, he's got 2 donuts right here. I'm sure he's got something cooked.
There aren't that many donuts.
We're gonna go to another guy that plays in the field league.
Pause.
He does. He plays in the field league, and it's only going to be more pause when I say what it is, Connor. That's a chocolate glazed cream donuts. I love a cream filled donut.
Like
No, I mean just like it has like almost like the whipped like frosting in the middle. Like basically, I mean it's simple, but it gets the job done. I don't need that lemon citrusy shit in here. Get that out of here. It's also that's so like good. Pudding in there. I like the whipped part of it, guys. The whip.
Stop
has what in there?
Cream that's been whipped.
No, not that one. What's the Jello type thing that you said it had in there? You say it had pudding?
You mean like when I'm putting these
balls in there?
Damn it! Oh Jesus!
Excellent.
My next one, this is probably gonna be a controversial one, but I love these donuts. Give me a sour cream donut. I'm talking about them with Krispy Kreme. I love those. They're just simple. They're
sour cream donut. What is that?
Take a laugh.
What is a sour cream donut?
They kind of end up being like a cake donut, like where they're like really like thick on the inside.
Why was this your motion for the pick?
But yeah, that's gonna be my last pick.
A terrible pick.
You're
I mean,
wrong.
It's
You're
just
wrong.
truly a bad pick.
I saw. So I was basically, when Robbie proposed this idea, I was in the group chat saying what I've said numerous times already, being like, I don't know how many donuts there are to pick from. And Robbie said, look at the Krispy Kreme menu. And so I did that. And I haven't tried it, but I want to try it. This is just like the one
I haven't
wanted.
gotten to take my last fucking pick.
But I don't think you're going to take it, though. All right, fine. I'll mention it if Ryan
It's
doesn't mention it.
disrespectful, honestly. My scouts
Again,
have worked hard.
this is the second time you've done this too.
But I didn't do it. I didn't say it. I didn't pick it. You cannot confiscate my pick.
My scouts are a little upset with you. We might have to talk about getting you held in contempt of a draft because your etiquette's been pretty poor.
But obviously Ryan has already picked Apple Crisp and Lemon Filled. And so in a last ditch effort, I will be going. Oh God, I'm gonna get clowned. I will be going to a cherry filled donuts. Just because I'm a big cherry guy, and that's all I'll say about that.
Ryan, what's your last pick? You look ready.
Cherry filled, really?
Is that it?
That's where you're ending the draft in, dude?
I'm defeated. I just want.
How do you feel about yourself?
I just want to go home. I don't want to do
This
this.
isn't a fucking pie. This is a donut. You and I are gonna have a talk off the podcast.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry.
We're all going to Krispy Kreme together sometime soon, so Connor can become educated.
God.
So, yeah.
We're gonna end the draft with the old fashioned donut.
What is that?
Yeah. Wait.
What do you mean? What is that? No, it's different. It's a different consistency and texture than a glazed donut.
Oh, is that the pick? I thought you were. I thought you were like setting the scene for like a donut that you're about.
It's literally called.
I didn't realize that was the pick. What is
Ryan, that's a
donut?
sour cream donut. You fucking idiot!
Who the fuck calls it sour cream?
That's what they call it. That's what they call it at Krispy Kreme.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
I don't know. I don't know what either of those terms are.
From one fat man to another, you're incorrect.
No, I'm not. I'm just not. I promise you.
I'm looking at their menu right now.
Yeah, I didn't see.
They actually don't have it on there at all right now.
Oh, get wrecked, Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, I found the nutritional info for a Krispy Kreme glazed sour cream donut, which is exactly what you're talking about.
We gotta throw this draft out the window. I can't do it.
You're a fucking idiot. you just clowned me for that pick like a minute ago, and then you went and picked the same fucking thing.
calls it a sour cream
That's
donut.
what-
I've
yes, they
never
do.
heard that called.
It's the same thing.
I'm gonna have a stroke. Old fashioned donut versus sour cream donut.
Yeah, this is terrible. This is maybe the worst draft we've ever done.
I gotta read into this.
Did you find the same Reddit thread I'm about to go click on?
Yes,
But did we figure out if they're the same thing?
Yes, they are.
relatively yes.
So, so do we need to confiscate Ryan's pick?
He just tried to drop
double
my
pick.
player after I tried to pick him.
I think we have to
Ryan's out
suspend
here
Ryan.
making backdoor deals with my players after I've already picked them. That's crazy.
I believe that's tampering. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
I think it is. He's in shambles right now because he really thought he was cooking.
And I still had a better draft than Connor. That's fucking
That's
nuts.
crazy. That's crazy.
The donut that I was going to mention that I do want to try, it's seasonal and they're currently advertising it. I do want to try the pumpkin spice donut from Krispy Kreme, but there's not anyone close to here.
I didn't pick any like seasonal donuts because like there's so many seasonal donuts we actually could have gone for forever. But their key lime pie donut is also very good.
That sounds gas. I'm not gonna lie.
It's true.
I wanted that.
Good.
But
Ryan, do we have a last pick or are we just throwing in the towel?
no, he's suspended. He's not allowed.
Old fashioned donut.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, that is our last thing that we're doing on the podcast. So what a way to leave our listeners there.
Never heard it called a sour cream donut. That is me right now. That's how I feel. I'm coping.
That's how it's on the menu as a Krispy Kreme. That's why I know what it is. As a man who's been a Krispy Kreme many times in his life, clearly.
You a big Krispy Kreme guy?
Hell
You know
yeah.
what sucks? You know what sucks? Dunkin' Donuts.
Their donuts suck. Their donuts.
Yes, correct. Yes, that's what I meant.
Where Krispy Kreme started, Connor?
Boston. I have no idea.
Robbie, what's the answer to that one?
Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Damn right.
You guys are really fat. You guys are
My dad lives in
Dude.
Winston-Salem.
Guys
I
are
did
like-
lives there. That's why I know that. I know where the first Krispy Kreme was. Connor, don't give me that shit.
like morbidly obese is what I
You know
would
what?
define you.
You know what else? You know what else started in Winston-Salem, North Carolina that you would
What?
never know?
Bees?
Texas Pete.
What is Texas Pete?
The
hot sauce. You uncultured
What the
fuck.
I don't know what that is.
My blood pressure is through the roof. I'm just not going to sleep tonight.
I need a fucking donut. But anyways, for myself and Ryan and Connor,
Oh my
thank you for
God.
listening. If you made it through that donut draft, props to you. That was a bad one. We'll go back to the drawing board. To be fair, Connor texted us like an hour before the podcast. Did you guys have any ideas? And that was the best it came
That's
up.
what I always do.
And tell us in the comments, because I know this is going to make it to Instagram. It's going to be on YouTube. Do you call it a sour cream donut or an old-fashioned donut? I got to know.
When you said old fashioned, I'm like, does it taste like an old fashioned cocktail? Like, is that what we're talking about? Like, you're an idiot. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please like, subscribe, follow, interact, all of those things. And we will see you next week. Please gamble responsibly.
See ya.